How's it going, guys? So I'm here with the Raw review. And why am I doing this? I said I was going to stop doing Raw reviews. I've stopped doing them for a few weeks now. I figured I enjoyed the Rumble. Why not check out Raw? So I did something a little bit differently here. I watched the show through YouTube like how I normally do with the clips, but I also stayed tuned to the Edge Randy Orton match on Hulu, which is usually released the day after, because I wanted to see that match. So that's where I ended up watching it. And then I noticed a big observation. I knew that they always did this, but I looked at the matches that they edited out, that they edit them out, and there's some really interesting choices, to say the least. And you have to kind of think to yourself when you see that type of stuff. If WWE is telling Hulu to edit those things out of the show, or this is what I believe WWE sends this edited version over to Hulu, it's interesting to see what they decided to cut out. So you have to think that this is the least important stuff that they tell them to edit out. So it's pretty telling. They have to get it to like an hour and 30 minutes. And you got to think that there's certain things that they could edit out, and there's other things that they could leave in. But what they decided to edit out was kind of surprising. Now, I want to say something also about these reviews in general. I noticed that a lot of people didn't even watch the SmackDown review, and that's the SmackDown right before the Royal Rumble. So I'm very curious why. Are people just not interested in the reviews anymore? Because, I don't know, the one from the week before did well, the other one, but the reviews are not where they used to be. And I think that has to do a lot with who's actually watching the show. Now, I know a lot of people watch my reviews that don't watch wrestling. Some people haven't watched wrestling in years. And that's one of the things that really makes me want to keep coming back to these reviews. But, are people tired of them? I don't even know if people will be watching this to even be able to answer that question in the comments. But, is it really time to move on to these reviews? Should I just go back to what I'm doing, do other things, talking about movies, games, doing video game retrospectives and reviews? Is that what people want to see? Do more reviews on Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, DVDs and Blu-rays and different things. I mean, I'd appreciate some ideas, because if this is going to be how it is, and the SmackDown review is only going to get 600, I know it will climb. It'll probably get to 700, maybe 800 views after a week. And that's usually what happens. Every day, the video will gain about 100 views or so. But it used to be a lot quicker than that. I remember sometimes when I didn't even really have to wait a full 24 hours, and the review would already have 1,000 views on it. But we're very far off from where we used to be even a year ago. So maybe that has something to do with me leaving for a while I didn't leave anywhere, but I stopped doing the reviews. So that might have affected it. But then again, I've lost subscribers, but not really a whole lot. During the summer, when I wasn't doing any wrestling reviews or any wrestling talk at all, and there was a complete drought, and it was mostly just video game stuff, I didn't really lose a lot of people. I actually noticed when I started doing the reviews again, that's when the drop-off started. So that was always very odd to me. So I don't know. What do you guys think down in the comments? What should this channel be? What should it be? Because no matter what, all YouTube channels are a work in progress. It doesn't matter if we've been here for 12 years or not. We still need to, decide what kind of content, I should be making. Because why am I going to waste my time making reviews, watching the show, if people are not even going to stay tuned to them? So let me know what you want. So we started off with Drew McIntyre in the ring, and he's doing another one of these weird promos, just like Daniel Bryan was doing over on SmackDown, where he's talking about the show, and he's not even talking about what he did on the show per se. He gets around to that, but he's also talking about the women's tag match. He's talking about what happened. He's talking about what happened on the pre-show. I mean, when's the last time that you tuned in, and you heard like Stone Cold or The Rock or John Cena or Batista back in the day recapping a show and talking about what happened on Sunday Night Heat? You would never hear that. So this was like ridiculous. He's complimenting Edge, and it's even to the point where Edge gets in the ring. I don't know if that was kind of like a shoot or not, where he says, "You're showering me with compliments," and he says, "And you're not like hitting me with a kick or anything like that. We're just kind of having a casual conversation." So Sheamus comes out and says that he should respect Drew. Edge says, "I'm going to be walking out of WrestleMania champion." So he hasn't really decided yet who he's going to pick. I don't think he's going to pick Drew. I think if anything, they're going to go with Edge and Roman. I just kind of think that's the way they're going to go with it, because I don't think they're going to want to have like a babyface versus babyface. But then again, this is WWE 2021. So, what do you think is going to happen? I think that this is what's going to happen. So they had Sheamus bro kick Drew. Now, I don't know if they're going to just like hot shot this right into the Elimination Chamber. Because Elimination Chamber is next, right? I don't think that they even advertised that, did they? Did they advertise that at the Royal Rumble? Because I watched the whole entire Royal Rumble live, and I don't remember seeing that, unless I got up to go to the bathroom during that little commercial. But Sheamus is in the back. He says he did that because he wants the championship from Drew. So, I guess that would make for a pretty good main event. These two guys have been friends for a while, but the build to this has been horrible. We have not had Sheamus really look like he's a contender, to tell you the truth. I mean, after you had this guy losing to Keith Lee, who wasn't even in the Royal Rumble. I didn't even actually point that out. Is he injured or something? Because he wasn't even at the Rumble. I didn't hear anything about any injury, but he wasn't even entered in to the Royal Rumble match. And I didn't even see anybody put that down in the comments or anything, but I just noticed, like, as I was taking notes, that is how forgettable Keith Lee is. And that is how forgettable Keith Lee is in total. Everyone's saying, oh, he's the next big star. I didn't even see anyone notice that he wasn't even in the match. So that's very telling, to say the least, if you don't even remember. Because you would remember if Edge wasn't in the Rumble back in the day, if Stone Cold wasn't in there, if Batista or The Undertaker weren't in the Rumble, you would know right away. You would say, oh, well, what happened? Why wasn't he in there? But you didn't really feel that way, because you didn't, obviously, because I didn't see anyone talking about it. So anyway, I mean, we're probably going to have this match in one form or the other, whether it's at Mania or it's at whatever pay-per-view is going to be before Mania, which I think is the Chamber. It's just that they haven't got to a point. Sheamus has been hanging around Drew for months, but it's been very inconsistent at that. So, I mean, when's the last time we haven't had a flat build to a Mania? That's what I'm saying. So, it's basically whatever at this point. Like, it's almost pointless complaining about this in the video, because you just come to expect this type of disappointment. You come to expect this bad build. Matt Riddle was defeated Lashley by disqualification. He didn't look much like a winner, because Lashley just told him, he put him in the hurt lock. He wouldn't let go at the count of 5 for the rope break. And then he just ended up just constantly putting him in the hurt lock, and then he threw him into where the video screens are, beyond the barricade. I don't know where they're going, really, like, with either guy, to tell you the truth. Like, does anyone really just stop and think, like, how long Lashley has been back in the WWE? And I get it, he's the U.S. champion now. They've been having him win a lot. But I feel like this guy should be beyond this already. Be beyond being in a faction and everything. Like, why is this guy not a world title contender? But like I said, we always say this, and it's kind of just like, this is here. This doesn't really go anyplace. Even the Hurt business in general, it's not really going anywhere. We'll talk about what storylines they really have going on in the Hurt business, and they're just as basic as could possibly be. Orton has a promo in the back, and it's, an intense promo. I can't tell, was like Orton holding his phone or something because the camera was so shaky. At least the audio is good. Can I ask a question? Why is the audio good on Raw, but it's terrible on SmackDown? Has anyone noticed that? Why is it so crystal clear on Raw, but on SmackDown I'm like complaining about it every 2 seconds, and I'm having to pump up the volume on my computer? Does anyone find that unusual? Like, shouldn't there be like a consistency between the two shows? I mean, they're shot in the same exact place. So, with the same equipment, I think. So why should it be any different from one show to the other? There shouldn't be a difference. But somehow, magically, for some strange reason, there is. We've got Xavier Woods. I didn't even talk about the Orton promo. So, I mean, it was good. The camera was shaky, so it was kind of distracting. He says that Edge is not going to make it to the main event. Obviously, he is. You see with Orton that there is a clear difference between the generation that Orton is from, the Ruthless Aggression era, and you see the generation that everyone else is from, which is the current generation. You see how the quality of promos is so much below the bar of where this one is. Orton is trying to turn chicken shit into chicken salad, and he's doing the best he can. I mean, the whole thing about trying to send, Edge home to his family, it's just like, it's ridiculous. And even Edge will go on to say, I complained about this last year. They can't ever come up with a good reason for anyone turning on anybody. I've said this whenever, and it took them like a whole month. Remember last year? This was like a big rant, so I'm not going to go through it again. But if you want to see me do the original rant, go back and watch like every Raw review that I did after the Royal Rumble leading up to WrestleMania. Because I did review every single Raw and SmackDown up to that point. And that was my complaint. Like, it took Orton like 1,000 years to explain. It took multiple shows. It took like 4 or 5 Raws for us to finally get some type of decent explanation. And you had like everyone coming out there, Matt Hardy and a bunch of others and Beth Phoenix, and we still weren't getting any good answers. They were buying all the time with all these guest appearances and everything. Xavier Woods defeated Ali, Mustafa Ali. Once again, like, where is this going? Where is this faction going? I mean, Ali's faction has got to be one of the most lamest things I've ever seen Retribution. I know people have said this. They've been saying this for months, even when I wasn't reviewing the shows. But it truly is, like, ridiculous. First of all, they already removed one of the girls off the show. What was her name? I don't even remember. But they removed her, Mercedes Martinez, right? So they removed her off the show because of, stuff that she was saying on Twitter. She was acting like too much of an SJW, so they booted her out of the group. That's what happens, to a lot of these wrestlers. They just can't control themselves online, so they get booted off. And that's what happened here. So now we're down to 3 people. We've got Xavier Woods making a complete fool out of 2 bigger guys, T-Bar and whatever the other guy's name is. They both get beat up. He's like jumping off one onto the other. Then he gets in the ring and then he beats the leader of the group. This is the goofiest group I think I've ever seen. I mean, they don't do anything. They don't have any success. So why are they even listening to a smaller guy like Ali? Are they getting any success? Are they winning matches? Are they getting title shots? Are they even in contention for the tag titles? No to all of the above. So I don't get why this group is in existence. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, to get some more guys on TV, to get more guys a payday, but I don't get it. Like, why is this group here? They're not doing anything in particular. They're doing the same exact thing that they did with Ricochet. Is there any difference between the storyline or lack thereof between the Ricochet one? You're basically the same thing is going on. They want to beat up on Xavier Woods the same way they did with Ricochet, with no real story or anything. It's just like now Ali moved on. He's going to target like another mid Carter that's not really doing anything. So there's like no impact here. Why are they going after these guys? What is it going to get them? Bad Bunny is on Miz TV, and I don't know, like I said, is this guy popular? I suppose he is. I've never really heard of him up to this point. But then again, I'm not like your connoisseur when it comes to popular music, so I guess, he is. But anyway, we have a Miz TV promo with, Bad Bunny, and now he's good friends with Damian Priest, which now this is going to be the next guy that they're going to push to the moon, and then he's going to fall straight down from the moon back into reality, which is the reality that WWE is not going to build any new stars. They're doing it with Roman Reigns over on SmackDown. They're sort of doing it with Drew McIntyre, kinda, sorta, maybe. But Damian Priest, guys, like I said, you already did this with Aleister Black, where this was the promising guy. They were giving this guy all the big wins and everything. And I mean, well, now they're getting Damian Priest at least into a storyline where there's a celebrity there. So at least he's standing out more and he's not just claiming he's going to knock on people's doors. So at least there's a little bit more something there. But it's the same character. And I've said this time and time again, what is up with NXT and doing the same character? We talked about this with the women. Rhea Ripley, Tony Storm, Shotzi Blackheart, all these like rocker gimmicks, and now we've got the gothic gimmick now with these two. Aleister Black and Damian Priest, is there a difference? They're both throwing kicks and everything, and they're both a little bit more acrobatic, and so I don't get it. Why are we not just going with Aleister Black? You already had this character. Now you're going to try to do the same character with another guy in that same place, and I get that, they were both doing this same character in NXT, but that's kind of the point. You already called up one guy and didn't do anything with him. Obviously, Bad Bunny is not going to be there forever, and quite frankly, I don't even know why he's there now. Like, what is this even doing for them? I don't get it. Like, there's publicity, I suppose, but like, does Bad Bunny realize there's no publicity really to be had in wrestling anymore? Like, that no one's watching this show, and no one has watched this show in a very long time. So I don't really get how this crossover really benefits anybody. They're selling his merchandise on Shop Zone, so maybe that has, or WWE Shop. I guess maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Why would you be on the show to promote yourself if barely anyone is watching it? Oh yeah, so they have a match, and it's Miz and Damian Priest, and Priest gets the win here. So, the Money in the Bank winner losing again. Can I ask a question here, honestly? Now we have officially hit on the 10-year mark since the Miz has been the WWE champion, and the fact that he hasn't won the belt back in this time frame is just it's kind of stupid already, because it's he's not working towards any goal. He has the briefcase and everything. They gave it to him back. I don't know if he's planning on cashing in it at the at Mania or what it is, but this feud right here, oh my god, this is now what we're getting. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. First of all, who is Priest? Does anyone knows who Priest is? If you're watching this show and you don't watch NXT, are you impressed by Damian Priest? Yeah, he's a bigger guy and everything. But like I said, if you were watching last year, you saw Aleister Black. Now you're seeing a guy that looks almost exactly... it's not the exact same guy, but you're seeing a guy with a similar look. So why would you care? This is all I'm saying, But anyway, they sacrificed Miz to him, so, that's the price that comes with being Money in the Bank, right? You always have to lose constantly when you're holding on to the briefcase. we've got Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander defeating the Lucha House Party. So I didn't even mention it, but Xavier Woods and Ali was one of the matches that was cut out of the Hulu version of the show, and so was this one. Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, they're not on the same page, but now they sort of are. Benjamin tagged himself in forcefully and then ends up picking the win. So, there's like a little bit of controversy there. It's like, this is so basic. Like, the Hurt Business has, like, these talented guys here, and Cedric Alexander. I mean, he's okay, but you get what I'm trying to say. You have these talented guys here, and they're not really doing much with them. This is so basic that they're like, they can't get along. Who gets into the ring first? Like, can we get a real storyline like how they used to do? Does it have to be this basic thing? Oh, well, I want to go first. Oh, well, I'm mad at you because you decided to go first. I mean, this is just lame ass bullshit, really. Naomi and Lana defeat Charlotte, Asuka, Dana Brooke, and Mandy Rose in this triple threat tag match, which this is like I think it was for the #1 contendership. Out comes Ric Flair, and he's just kind of showing off Lacey Evans. I mean, like, why is this even like controversial? He's just doing this with Lacey. Like, Charlotte just basically told her dad to go to hell, and now all of a sudden it's like all is supposed to be forgiven. Like, I was listening to the commentary during the Women's Royal Rumble, and Jerry the King Lawler's right. Like, why would Ric Flair forgive Charlotte? Like, after Charlotte berated Ric Flair, like, I'm saying from the storyline perspective, just because they said that Charlotte had apologized, like, Ric Flair is supposed to just instantly forgive her like that, even though she's like done it twice. Seriously, from the perspective of a normal viewer, when you're watching this, like, oh, wow, I feel bad for Charlotte. Like, no, you don't. No one's going to have that reaction. If you were watching this show from one week to the next, who would have that reaction? Anyway, why not have, like, Ric Flair and Lacey have, like, an affair or something? Like, that would be, like, an interesting angle. But, of course, it's super basic once again. Oh, she's his protege. Oh, really? So, like, Ric Flair is not going to, like, try something with Lacey Evans, like a younger girl like this that's hanging around him all the time. Like, what, are you kidding me? All of a sudden, Ric Flair is just, like, he's just going to be, like, this super respectful manager. He's going to take her to win the title. Like, just that. Why would anyone hang around to see this storyline? That's a total click off right there. Drew cuts a promo. He's almost in tears. You've got to be kidding me. Are we really going to have Drew McIntyre blubbering like a baby backstage? Oh, we grew up together. We had Christmas. Like, Drew McIntyre, like, honestly, like, what they had Edge say to him in the beginning. Like, at the beginning of the show, he's telling him right off, like, you're complimenting everybody. Like, you're saying, everyone did such a great job on the Royal Rumble. Like, and then you get this. And, like, this is Drew, after this promo, like, deserves to lose the title, deserves to get his ass kicked because he's a crybaby. He's back there just boo-hooing. Like, Sheamus is not, like, crying. I mean, this is, like, I get it, it's supposed to be emotional, and it's his friend. But we didn't see any of this emotion. Like, these guys were beating the shit out of each other backstage, like, a few weeks ago, like, just because. And then they, like, forgot about it because that's just who they are. Now, all of a sudden, he's, like, taking it to heart and he's crying. Okay, this is kind of like years ago when I used to complain about how they used to have wrestlers constantly apologizing to everybody. I'm sorry, and everything. And they would keep doing these public apologies. This is kind of like that same vein. This is kind of like how they had the Big Show crying in front of Stephanie McMahon. It's pathetic. It's not a good look for anyone to get on screen, whether it's a female or a male wrestler, and have them blubbering like a baby. Who's going to watch something so uncomfortable? And like, yeah, he didn't like fully burst into tears, but he might as well have. I mean, they're having him like, like just no. This is your guy that's going to go into WrestleMania the champion. You decided not to feed him to Goldberg because you think he actually deserves to be there at Mania, and this is how you're having him act. Like, okay, Carlito and Jeff Hardy defeat Elias and Jackson Riker, and Carlito, like I said, at the Royal Rumble is in phenomenal shape here. I'm a little bit confused why he didn't like get the pin here. Why it was like Jeff Hardy when he's the guy returning. Well, I'm happy they just won a match. Like, because usually what they would do is they wouldn't even care. They wouldn't even protect anybody, and they would just like have them like lose right away. They would like feed them to some other like person on the show. So at least there was that. But they cut this out of Hulu. Like, Carlito comes back like one of these big Ruthless Aggression era stars. And I get he was always more like a mid-carder, but it's a pretty like well-known wrestler. But they cut it out of the Hulu version. I don't get why. Edge does a promo backstage. I think that this was like a little bit too late in the show for this. And like almost the same thing with Drew McIntyre. Like this was in like the third hour of the show from what I saw. I didn't watch everything in order, but I looked at the layout of the show and I'm like, why did this come so much later on, like in the third hour, when everything that they're talking about, like what Orton said was in the first hour, the bro kick was in the first hour, and now they're talking about it like a whole, like 2 hours later. Like, okay, like, all Drew did was take a kick to the face and it took him 2 hours to respond to it. And the same thing here with like Edge. This was a good promo from Edge. This was like very intense, a little bit better than Orton's. But like I said, once again, you see just how much better this promo is than like any other promo that anyone else is cutting. It's leaps and heads above anyone else, and that's a problem. And what I'm seeing is like what I was looking at, that they have Edge is like getting demeaned for his performance on the creative team, and Daniel Bryan is getting praised. I mean, what they should be doing is having Edge teach people how to cut promos on this show. Like, enough, because whatever they're doing in NXT with cutting promos is just not working, and it just is not working at all. We've got Alexa Bliss defeating Nikki Cross, and this is an example in this match where, I get it, they have an empty arena and everything, and they could do this, but, like, it's getting to the point, really, where it's just, like, a little bit ridiculous. Like, you know that they're editing the footage, and not only that, but the commentators are just, like, going through the motions here. Like you got Byron Sex Addict there at ringside, and you got Tom Phillips. Tom Phillips, who's like the worst commentator I think I've ever heard. And I haven't really ranted on him yet, but after this, and Samoa Joe, just like, why is he even there? All of these guys are straight up disasters. It's a trifecta disaster, because all of these guys are just not reacting to this. They're like, you've got a girl who's changing clothing and appearance right there in the ring. So Alexa is transitioning from her like fiend appearance. She's changing from that into the regular Alexa Bliss, the traditional Alexa Bliss. And like, they're just like, oh wow, I can't believe what we're seeing. Like, I mean, should they not sound like, what the hell is going on here? Like, like, I'm just saying, go back and just watch JR and the King call these matches during the Ruthless Aggression era and everything, when sometimes not the best material was going on, but they sold it, and they sold it to the high heavens, and they made it work. Why are they like, they're just so scripted and so bored. And I understand that they got a lot being fed through their headset, and maybe that's what's going on, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But they're awful. I mean, not only can we just clearly tell that this is just edited footage, I mean, because they're cutting to Nikki, then they're cutting back to Alexa, and then she's like wearing different clothes. So I wonder how that happened. I don't get it. So, anyway, we've got Alexa Bliss hitting the sister Abigail, but it's more like a DDT. Okay, that's all fine and well. We've got I went and I watched a whole match of this, actually. Edge and Orton really having a great match, but if you had to sit through all the other shit, you would not even know there was a great match waiting for you at the end. Yes, they did build it throughout the show, but, like, who is going to wait that long just to see it? And, I mean, as great as it was, it's not worth sitting through it. So, if you guys have Hulu, if you can find the match on YouTube, I'd recommend you watch it, because it's like, all the matches, like, up to this point, like, this is, like, I'm just looking at, like, Orton and Edge and the way they're, like, doing those worked punches and everything, and they're just so much better than anybody else. This is why, like, when they had the match last year, they were advertising it as the greatest wrestling match ever, because, like, these guys are two of the greatest workers, like, of the past, like, 2 decades. I'm going to say something like that, to that effect, because they truly are. I mean, these are guys that, like, no one can touch them in the current landscape. But, like, there's a few, but there is really not a lot, because there's not really a whole lot of competition there on the roster for them. But these are the guys that really, like, I don't know why you don't have Triple H and Shawn Michaels taking everyone from NXT, sitting them down and saying, like, you see this match right here, this is what all you guys should be doing. Like, okay, you don't have to work the same exact style and everything and copy it point for point, but this is a nice firm template for what what things should really look like inside the ring and how people should carry themselves. So Alexa Bliss, once again, she's on the top rope. Some black stuff comes out of her mouth that distracts Orton. The other thing I really need to say is, wasn't Orton, like, burnt, like, 2 weeks ago? And now all of a sudden, like, he was wearing that goofball mask, and now he's, like, all fine and well. I didn't even mention that during the Rumble review, so there I am mentioning it now. But obviously it's edited. The camera switches back, and Alexa Bliss is not there. Edge hits the spear. He gets the win. And, that's it. That's the end of the show. So, it was a good match and everything. But, this Alexa Bliss stuff is getting a bit goofy. Like, seriously, we did all the Undertaker stuff. And we did all that stuff live. And we made it look good. But here they're not even doing any smoke. It's just, like, quick cuts. We know, like, we're telling, like, Alexa Bliss, like, okay, take the cut. They shot this on 2 different days, and they're inserting it because, yeah, it's a live show, so they're airing a tape segment live. It's so clever and everything. I mean, no one is fooled by it. No one is suspending their disbelief. Also, she's wrestling Nikki Cross, so no one was even going to even care about that to begin with. And here, like, obviously, it's another quick cut and everything, and, but it was a good match to end it. So, yeah, this is going to be the last Raw review, definitely for a while. I decided that I would do it just so we can, talk about what happened after the Rumble. It's definitely not worth it. I definitely would not recommend watching this show except for the last match. And anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys, for watching. I'll see you next time.